Hi, I'm Mariana.
And I'm Kenzo.
We are Make.
This is our graduate journey. So my story with London started a long time ago. Actually, to make a long story short, London is where my parents first met back in the mid-70s. They both moved here to study. They met, they fell in love, and they had a pretty special time here.
I'm from Girona. It's a very small town in Spain. I studied journalism in Madrid. And my first job was actually in a newspaper. But for some reason, I got a job as a graphic designer and not as a journalist. So I kind of decided to go in with the flow, and that's how I became a designer.
I always heard incredible stories about London being a place of amazing possibilities, that you can just actually come here and reinvent yourself.
I was needing a bit more of a formal training, and that's why I decided to come to London.
I was working for agencies in Brazil for 7 or 8 years when I decided it was maybe time to go back to study, get a bit of a fresh perspective on design. And that's when I decided to apply to study MA at LCC.
I remember the night I arrived in London as if it was yesterday. And there's a moment where the train turns a corner and the city skyline appears out of the sudden. And that sight was like, whoa. It just really stayed with me the rest of my life. It meant like, I'm in London, I'm finally here, I made it.
But from the beginning, LCC struck me as having a really good balance between academic research, but also hands-on experimentation. And I think when it comes to postgraduate design, I think that's probably the best, most interesting approach. And it's a pretty exciting environment to be in.
So the first day of the course, my friend and I were sitting at the back and everybody was giving a 3-minute presentation. So we spotted Kenzo and we were like,
I would say Mariana caught my attention kind of early on. And yeah, the rest is history.
One of the things we learned from LCC that stay with us quite a lot is that design is not about the final piece, it's a process. And that journey from first creative ideas into the final piece is what really makes design so exciting.
Yeah, I would say from the design schools, LCC is probably the most process-driven one. And you can always, I mean, it's interesting how something that we learned 15 years ago would become such an important part of how we operate as a studio. So we finished our courses at LCC and then we went to work in the industry in London. And then for the first 10 years, we had our own careers. We're working for different agencies until one day we decided to take a little sabbatical.
Just a little bit on a whim, like, okay, just quit our jobs and let's go to Australia. We rented a van and we spent 3 months just going around. And during those 3 months is where the idea of Make started forming, just out of talking about how we could do things differently.
So when we started working together, we had no idea if the plan would actually work out. We're very conscious about being a couple, having a business together. We know there's huge ups, but also potentially huge downs.
But hey, it's been 5 years now working together. I think one of the things that is really good about it is how you build your design practice and how you build your work around your life. You kind of like start working and designing the way you live and living the way you design, if that makes sense, maybe not. But for us, it feels like work and life are entangled together, and now forever, we're probably gonna grow old working like this. So one of our inspirations is Charles and Ray Eames. They were a great influential couple during the 20th century, and they worked together and they did everything, like from design to films to books. This is their house, which is actually one of the great inspirations for us. Perhaps one day we'll have our own house and we'll live and work in a same space What's unique for us, for Make, is that we do both branding and product design very well. Both Kenzo and I have experience with branding projects, but also a lot of experience with digital. This is one of our favorite projects. It was done for LCC, actually. We designed the exhibition for one of the postgraduate shows.
It is a very special project for us because first, going back to LCC felt like a really special thing to do, but also very much enjoyed the creative collaboration with the team, and we're quite happy with the outcome as well. Yeah, this is our creative playground. So we have a studio space here in Hackney Week, which has a very vibrant community of other creatives.
Having a space is important because it sets up the mood, and we feel very comfortable here. Is all of our work, our memories, and our objects. It's like a second home.
So that's a work by a Brazilian graphic artist called André Sandoval. When we decided to first start Make, we commissioned him to create a few illustrations that represent a bit of the culture we have here.
This is a letter we got from one of our clients. It came in the post, and it's really beautiful. It's a thank you note, and these are the little things that makes us smile and makes us continue doing what we do. And here we are, 15 years later. We are not 2 anymore, now we are 3. This is little Chloe, our baby girl, 2.5.
This is my daughter's drawing. That's one of her finest works to date. And here she created these beautiful abstract shapes using all her favorite colors. She drew a rocket up here, and that's a jellyfish. So I keep it here for inspiration, and if she keep, pursuing the sort of creative path, maybe one day she'll take over the studio. Thanks for coming to our studio.
This has been our graduate journey, but it doesn't end here.